married for 3 years. I stumbled upon an intimate photo of my husband and an intern in a local recommendation on a social app. Ironically, the next second, instead of rushing to confront him, I was hit by a car. Lying on the cold hospital bed, I heard my husband talking softly to another woman outside the door. At that moment, I knew that some things are broken more thoroughly than bones. In the 3rd year of our marriage, the day before our anniversary, I was idly scrolling through my phone. ConnectSphere, a social app that focuses on local interest matching, pushed a people you may know suggestion to me. I clicked on it, and a sweet photo immediately caught my eye. The background was that popular, Wang Hong, internet famous, cafe near our home, and the man in the photo had a profile that was all too familiar, my husband, Ethan Harrison, and the girl he was intimately embracing, with a radiant smile, was none other than Chloe Miller, the new intern at his company. The caption under the photo read, "Every day with him is like stolen candy, sweet to the heart." The location was just 3 kilometers away. An hour ago, my hand holding the phone began to tremble. My heart felt like it was being clenched tightly by an invisible hand, almost stopping. So, when he said he was going to the office to work overtime this afternoon to handle an urgent project, he was actually working overtime with this young and beautiful intern in a coffee shop? So, those excuses for not coming home late at night, those evasive phone calls, those perfume scents I deliberately ignored, were not my imagination. My mind went blank, and only that photo was infinitely enlarged before my eyes. The gentle smile in Ethan's eyes was something I hadn't seen in a long time. The way he looked at Chloe was focused and affectionate, as if she was the only person left in the world, and I, his wife of 3 years, felt like a complete fool at this moment. I don't know how I got out of the house. I didn't even have time to change out of my pajamas. The early autumn wind was a bit chilly, blowing on my face, but it couldn't cool down the burning heat and churning nausea in my heart. I just wanted to find him immediately and ask him face to face what was going on. The streets were filled with traffic, and neon lights flickered. I walked along dazedly, my mind filled with that glaring photo and the phrase stolen candy. When crossing the street, I didn't even pay attention to the traffic lights. A piercing screech of brakes and the sound of tires rubbing against the ground suddenly rang out, followed by a violent impact. My body flew up into the air and then fell heavily, and intense pain instantly swept through my entire body. Before losing consciousness, my last thought was, how ridiculous. The second after discovering my husband's affair, I was hit by a car. What is this? Does even God think I'm too miserable and give me a physical blow to distract me from the mental anguish? When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. The strong smell of disinfectant filled my nostrils, and my left leg was in a thick cast, hanging in the air. The doctor said I had a fracture in my left tibia and needed to be hospitalized for observation and treatment. The nurse came to check on me, asking softly, "Where is your husband? Should we notify your family to come and take care of you?" I looked at the ceiling, my throat so dry I couldn't make a sound. Family? Ethan? The man who was probably enjoying stolen candy with Chloe right now? I forced a smile that was worse than crying. He's on a business trip, out of town, and I can't reach him for the time being. I can manage myself. The nurse's face flashed with a hint of sympathy, but she still professionally recorded, "Okay. Please ring the bell if you need anything." I closed my eyes and forced back the tears that welled up. I can't cry, at least not here, in front of strangers, for a man who betrayed me. I concealed his affair, protecting the facade of our marriage, which was already riddled with holes, like preserving a fragile porcelain. The irony is that I am the one who was broken. In the following days, the hospital room became my prison. The next bed was occupied by a middle-aged couple. The aunt also had a leg injury, and the uncle took care of her meticulously every day, serving tea and water, peeling fruit, and telling jokes. The love in his eyes was unconcealed. Their interactions were warm and natural, and every detail pierced my heart like a needle. The more loving they were, the more it highlighted my loneliness and the desolation of my marriage. The auntie is very enthusiastic and often chats with me, asking why my husband hasn't come to see me yet. I can only repeat that pale lie over and over again. He's busy, his job is special, he can't come back, but my heart is bleeding. Busy? He's probably busy with his sweetie. That night, because my leg was hurting badly, I requested to be moved to a private room. Late at night, as I was dozing off, I heard a familiar voice outside the door. It was Ethan. He lowered his voice, but the intimacy and impatience in his tone came through clearly. Okay, stop it. I'm just taking some time to come see her, okay? The doctor said it's nothing serious, just a broken bone, she just needs to rest. Then there was a coquettish female voice. It was Chloe. Ethan, I've been waiting for you for so long. When are you going to make things clear to her? I don't want to keep sneaking around like this anymore. Besides, your wife is so boring, isn't she? Married for 3 years and she doesn't have any fun. No wonder you. I couldn't hear what he said after that, but Ethan's smiling reply cut into my heart like a knife backslash. Good girl, don't worry, she's just dull, always has been. Being with her is like watching a stagnant pool of water. How could it be as exciting as being with you? Give me some more time, okay? The sound of footsteps faded away, and the world returned to silence. I lay in bed, my whole body cold, even my fingers were trembling. So in his eyes, I am boring, dull, a stagnant pool of water. So the only patience he has left for me is just to stabilize me, so that he and Chloe can continue to enjoy the so-called excitement. I suddenly remembered how we started. At a university graduation party, playing Truth or Dare, Ethan was egged on to confess his love to me. I thought it was just a joke at the time, but I didn't expect him to take it seriously and start a fierce pursuit. Sending flowers, writing love letters, saying good morning and good night every day without fail, even waiting downstairs at my house for a few hours, just to see me once. He said he liked my quietness, liked my seriousness, liked everything about me. Before the wedding, he solemnly promised that he would be good to me for the rest of his life and give me a warm home. His eyes were sincere, and his tone was earnest, and I believed him. I thought we were in love with each other, a long and steady love, but after marriage, everything changed. He started coming home late, even not at all, using work as an excuse. Anniversaries, birthdays, he no longer remembered to prepare surprises. Sometimes he would even forget. We communicated less and less, and he smiled at his phone more than he smiled at me. It's not that I didn't notice, but I didn't want to believe it, or rather, I didn't dare to believe it. I always made excuses for him, comforting myself that he was just too tired and under too much pressure, until that photo, until the conversation outside the door tonight, completely shattered all my self-deception. Just then, the phone vibrated. It was a text message from an unknown number. Image, sister, Ethan said your leg is broken? How pitiful. But don't worry, I will take good care of him for you. Look, isn't the necklace he bought me pretty? He said my collarbone is the best match for this chain. Oh right. He also said that you are like a dead fish in bed. No fun at all. Young bodies are more energetic. In the picture attached to the text message, Chloe was wearing a sexy nightgown with an expensive diamond necklace around her neck, snuggling in Ethan's arms. Ethan's hand was also placed where it shouldn't be. The background was our bedroom, the place I carefully decorated, full of our memories. My stomach churned, and I rushed to the bathroom, vomiting violently. Nausea, anger, and despair overwhelmed me like a tide. This text message was undoubtedly sent by Chloe, with blatant provocation and show-off. She not only wants to steal my husband, but also to trample on my dignity and destroy my last bit of decency. I wiped away my tears and looked at the pale-faced, empty-eyed woman in the mirror. No, I can't go on like this. This marriage is rotten to the core, and if I don't get out, I will only be dragged into a deeper quagmire. Divorce. The thought has never been so clear and firm. I took out my spare phone and found the number in my address book that I had almost never dialed, my mother's phone number. My mother and I have had a distant relationship for many years. She married abroad to Argenta when I was very young, and we rarely contacted each other, but at this moment, she was the only person besides myself that I could think of to rely on. The phone connected, and hearing her familiar yet unfamiliar voice, my tears finally burst. I choked and haltingly told her everything that had happened to me. The other end of the phone was silent for a long time, and then my mother's tired but firm voice came, Ava, come back to your mother. After hanging up the phone, I contacted a senior from college, Jessica Stern, who is now a very successful divorce lawyer. I briefly explained the situation, and Jessica immediately said that she would do her best to help me. Ava, don't be afraid, keep all the evidence, especially that text message and photo. He had an affair during the marriage, and it was with an intern during his wife's pregnancy. Although I am not pregnant, being hospitalized with a fracture is also a special period. If the evidence is solid, We have an absolute advantage in terms of property division and mental compensation. Thank you, Jessica. My voice was still a little hoarse, but I felt much more at ease. Over the next 2 weeks, I recuperated in the hospital and worked with Jessica to gather more evidence of Ethan's affair. Ethan would occasionally visit the hospital, but he was always in a hurry, feigning concern and impatience. He probably thought I was completely unaware of his affair with Chloe and was still playing the role of a good husband. I watched his clumsy performance with indifference, and even found it a little ridiculous. 2 weeks later, I was discharged from the hospital, but my leg still needed to recover. Just as I was about to confront Ethan, he suddenly came to me, pleading with unusual sincerity for me to accompany him to an important business conference, the Apex Corp Annual Gala. Ava, this gala is very important to me. Many major clients will be there. We are husband and wife. You must accompany me. It is very important for my image. He held my hand, with a hint of calculation in his eyes. Instinctively, I wanted to refuse, but then I thought, this might be an opportunity. An opportunity to let everyone see his true colors. An opportunity to end things completely. Moreover, Jessica also suggested that if I went, I could take the opportunity to see if I could get more evidence of his interactions with others. Okay, I agree, I answered calmly. Ethan was obviously relieved, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Great, Ava, I knew you were the most sensible. That night at the annual meeting, I wore a carefully selected dress, leaned on crutches, and with the support of my family, I hired a temporary caregiver to pretend to be a distant relative. Appeared with Ethan at the Apex Corp annual dinner. Ethan was in high spirits, took my arm, and introduced me to every business partner who came up to greet him. This is my wife, Ava. As if we were still a loving couple, I suppressed the discomfort in my heart and cooperated with him in the act, until a familiar figure appeared in sight, Chloe. She was wearing a fiery red dress, with delicate makeup, holding a wine glass, and smilingly weaving through the crowd, occasionally exchanging knowing glances with Ethan. When she saw me, a hint of smugness and provocation flashed in her eyes, and then she walked straight towards me. Mrs. Harrison, you're here too? Is your leg feeling better? She asked with feigned concern, but her eyes were full of disdain. I couldn't be bothered with her and turned to leave, but she suddenly exclaimed oops, and the red wine glass in her hand accidentally tilted, the wine accurately splashing on my off-white dress, and even worse, splattering on the necklace I was wearing on my chest. That was the only memento my grandmother left me, a delicate pearl necklace. I subconsciously reached out to wipe it, but Chloe took the lead, pretending to help me wipe it, but her fingers tugged hard. With a snap, the necklace broke, and the pearls scattered all over the floor. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Harrison, I didn't mean to. Chloe covered her mouth, but her eyes flashed with maliciousness. At that moment, all the forbearance, grievances, and anger instantly broke through the dam of reason. My grandmother's necklace was my last memory, the only warmth she left me, and this woman, not only stole my husband, but also wants to destroy everything I cherish. You did it on purpose, I shouted sharply, without thinking, and slapped her. The crisp sound of the slap was particularly abrupt in the noisy banquet hall, and everyone's eyes gathered. Chloe covered her face, looking at me in disbelief. Then her eyes turned red, tears welling up, and her body swayed. Ava, what are you doing? Ethan's voice was like a thunderclap, splitting through the noisy crowd. He rushed over, without even looking at the scattered pearls and my embarrassed appearance, and helped the tottering, tearful Chloe. Ava, are you crazy? How could you hit someone? He roared at me, his eyes cold, full of disappointment and blame, as if I were the one being unreasonable and incomprehensible. Chloe leaned weakly into Ethan's arms, sobbing aggrievedly. Ethan, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help Mrs. Harrison wipe it. I didn't expect the necklace to be so fragile. Shut up. I pointed at her, trembling with anger. Whether it was intentional or not, you know it in your own heart. Enough. Ethan interrupted me, shielding Chloe even closer. Ava, look at what you look like now, making a scene in public. Apologize to Chloe immediately. Apologize? Did I hear that right? He wants me to apologize to this mistress who destroyed my family and ruined my grandmother's heirloom. I looked at him, seeing the pain in his eyes for Chloe and the disgust for me. My heart felt like it was completely crushed by a cold hand. The last trace of attachment to this marriage vanished with his words. Enough, really enough. Ethan Harrison, I said, slowly and deliberately, my voice frighteningly calm. "We are over." After speaking, I didn't look at him again, nor did I pay attention to the pointing and whispering around me. Leaning on my crutches and supported by the caregiver, I walked away step by step, slowly but resolutely, from this banquet hall where I had suffered so much humiliation. I seemed to hear Ethan's shouts behind me, but I didn't turn back. Back in the temporary apartment I rented, I threw myself on the sofa and couldn't hold back any longer, bursting into tears, not because of the pain, not because of the grievances, but because of the complete heartbreak and liberation. The person I had loved for so many years, the person I thought I would spend my life with, ultimately pushed me into the abyss for another woman. The next day, I went to the hospital for a follow-up appointment as scheduled. The nurse who examined me noticed the new bruises on my legs and my listless state, and couldn't help but scold me. "Mrs. Harrison, your leg isn't fully healed yet. How did you get new injuries? You have to take care of your body, otherwise it will take longer to recover." I smiled wryly and said nothing. At this moment, the door of the consulting room was pushed open, and a figure in a white coat walked in. He was tall and upright, with a gentle face and a familiar warmth between his eyebrows. Dr. Lynn has an emergency surgery today, so I'm covering for him. Ava? I was stunned, looking at the person in front of me. A little unbelievable. Noah? Noah Davis? How come you're here? Noah Davis. Our families used to be neighbors. He was the son of my parents' friends, a few years older than me, so he was like my neighbor brother. Later, his family moved away, and we lost contact. I didn't expect to meet him here again, and that he would become my doctor. Noah smiled gently and picked up my medical record. I just transferred to this hospital not long ago. How's your leg? At the Apex Corp dinner last night, I think I saw you, and then it seemed like something happened. His tone was very natural, but his eyes held a hint of subtle concern and understanding. He obviously knew something. Perhaps he had heard about last night's farce, or perhaps he already knew about my marital unhappiness. I lowered my head, avoiding his gaze, and mumbled yes. In front of him, I felt a strange embarrassment, as if all my misery had been seen through by him. Noah didn't press further. He just carefully checked my leg injury and gave me some instructions. His movements were gentle, and his voice was calm and steady, which inexplicably made me feel a sense of peace. "If you feel uncomfortable or need any help, you can always reach out to me." Before leaving, he handed me a business card with his personal contact information on it. Looking at the business card, my heart was filled with mixed feelings. Noah's appearance was like a ray of light shining into my dark life, but thinking about my current situation, I felt a little hesitant. After returning from the follow-up appointment, I became even more determined to get a divorce. I don't want to keep dragging things out, and I don't want to give Ethan any more chances to hurt me. I contacted Ethan's mother and arranged to meet her at her old house. Mrs. Harrison has always been nice to me, but she is also clearly a shrewd and strong woman. I didn't directly mention Ethan's affair, but subtly expressed that our marriage was broken and I could no longer continue this marriage, hoping she could understand. Mrs. Harrison was obviously shocked and tried to reconcile us, but my attitude was firm. In the end, she sighed and said nothing more. I knew she probably already guessed something. Leaving the old house, I went directly to Jessica's law firm and handed over all the evidence I had collected, including screenshots of ConnectSphere, Chloe's provocative text messages and photos, video clips from the annual meeting. Fortunately, guests took them, and some records of Ethan's transfers to Chloe. Jessica, please handle it as soon as possible. I don't want to see him again, I instructed. Don't worry, Ava, the evidence is sufficient, and I will make him pay the price. Jessica patted my shoulder, her eyes firm. The divorce agreement was quickly drafted and sent to Ethan through Jessica. The night after the agreement was sent, Ethan actually returned to our former home. He was holding a large bouquet of roses, and in his hand, he carried a cake from my favorite cake shop, with a tired and ingratiating smile on his face. Ava, I'm sorry, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have lost my temper with you. He stepped forward, wanting to hug me. I subconsciously took a step back, avoiding his touch. Looking at his pretentious appearance, I felt a wave of nausea. I've accepted the flowers and cake. You can leave now, I said coldly. Ethan's smile froze on his face. Ava, are you still angry? I know I was wrong. I was too impulsive that day at the annual meeting. Ethan, I interrupted him. The problem between us can't be solved with a bouquet of flowers and a cake. You should have received the divorce agreement. Sign it. It's better for both of us. Ethan's face instantly turned ugly. Divorce? Ava, do you have to make such a scene? Just because of Chloe? I'm just playing around with her. You're the only one in my heart. Playing around? I sneered. Playing around to the point of sending me those kinds of messages? Playing around to the point of destroying my grandmother's necklace? Playing around to the point where you publicly blamed me for her sake? Ethan was rendered speechless by my questions, his face alternating between green and white. He tried to explain, but I didn't want to listen anymore. I've already sent the agreement. The division of property and compensation are clearly written. Just read it and sign. If you don't agree, then we'll see you in court. I issued the order to leave. Ethan looked at my resolute attitude and finally left dejectedly. The next day was the weekend, and Ethan unusually offered to go shopping with me, saying he wanted to buy me some things as compensation. I wanted to refuse, but he was unusually clingy, acting like he had to go. I guessed he was probably trying to make a last effort, or was acting in front of his mother. When we got to the mall, he did buy me a lot of things, but his phone kept ringing. Each time he walked to the side to answer, lowering his voice and looking nervous. I didn't need to guess who was on the other end of the line. Sure enough, before long, he said to me with an apologetic expression, "Ava, I'm sorry. My buddy is heartbroken and is crying and begging me to go have a drink with him. I have to go." Here it comes again, this clumsy excuse. I looked at him, my heart calm, even wanting to laugh a little. Okay, go ahead. I nodded without the slightest attempt to make him stay. Ethan seemed a little surprised by my straightforwardness. He paused for a moment, and then left in a hurry. Watching his impatient back as he left, I knew he was going to find Chloe. Good. This makes it even more convenient for me to leave. I immediately took a taxi home, dragged my already packed suitcase, and went straight to the airport. The plane ticket was booked long ago, flying to Argenta. Sitting on the plane, watching the city outline outside the window getting smaller and smaller, I finally breathed a long sigh of relief. Goodbye, Ethan Harrison. Goodbye. This marriage that left me battered and bruised. Several hours later, the plane landed in Argenta. Stepping out of the airport, seeing that familiar yet unfamiliar figure, my eyes instantly welled up with tears. "Mom," I whispered. My mother stepped forward and hugged me tightly. This hug, though many years late, was still warm enough to bring tears to my eyes. "It's good to be back, Ava. It's good to be back." My mother's home in Argenta is very cozy. Sunlight streams in through the large French windows, and the air is filled with a faint floral fragrance. Here, I felt the long-lost warmth of family and peace. My mother didn't ask too much about Ethan and me, but silently took care of my daily life, chatted with me, and took me out to relax. I started trying to reintegrate into life here. With my mother's encouragement, I applied for an editor position at a well-known local newspaper and successfully passed the interview with my past experience and good writing skills. A new work environment, new colleagues, everything was full of hope. I met a few new friends I could talk to, and we would go shopping, watch movies, and have afternoon tea together on weekends. I locked the old phone containing Ethan and all the unhappy memories of the past in the deepest part of the drawer, out of sight, out of mind. Of course, the past wasn't so easy to shake off. Occasionally, I would receive messages relayed by Jessica on my new phone. Ethan refused to sign the agreement, demanding that the property division terms be redrafted, and insisting on talking to me in person and watching me sign it himself. He even caused a scene at the law firm a few times. Jessica said helplessly on the phone, "He even knelt down and begged me to get you back," saying he knew he was wrong. Later, we discovered that he secretly rummaged through our law firm's email server, trying to find your contact information. We've already reported him to the police. Hearing this, I only felt it was absurd and ridiculous. If he had known this would happen, why did he act that way in the first place? I removed Ethan's number from the blacklist and proactively gave him a call. "Ethan Harrison, this is my final warning to you. Stop your silly tricks. If you want a divorce, just sign the papers. My terms won't change, not even a penny less. If you dare harass my lawyer again or try to find me through illegal means, I'll let you know what regret means." My tone was icy, without a trace of emotion. The other end of the phone was silent for a moment. Then his voice came, filled with sobs. "Ava, are you really so cruel? So many years of feelings between us." "Feelings?" I interrupted him. When you were messing around with Chloe Miller, when you blamed me for her sake, our feelings were already dead. Signing the papers is the only slightly decent thing you can do now. After speaking, I hung up the phone directly and blacklisted him again. A few days later, Ethan's mother called again, crying on the phone about how bad Ethan's current state was and how the company's affairs were being affected, begging me to give him another chance. Mrs. Harrison, I am very sorry, but I can't do that. Your son needs to be responsible for his own actions. I refused, politely but firmly. Just as life was gradually getting back on track, an unexpected person arrived in Argenta. That day, my mother and I were having afternoon tea in the garden when the doorbell rang. My mother went to open the door and came back with Noah Davis. Noah, what brings you here? I stood up in surprise. Noah smiled, holding a suitcase in his hand. I applied for a medical exchange program here for 6 months. Auntie heard about it and invited me to stay here temporarily, so we can take care of each other. My mother smiled and nodded from the side. Yes, Ava, it's not easy for Noah to be here alone. It's good for us to look after each other. I watched the natural interaction between my mother and Noah, feeling a little strange. Noah's arrival undoubtedly threw a stone into my peaceful life again. He was gentle and polite, got along well with my mother, and was very caring to me, but always kept an appropriate distance. He would accompany me on walks, listen to my work troubles, and quietly help when I was inconvenienced by my leg injury. I could feel his concern hidden beneath his gentle exterior, and my heart rippled because of this long-lost kindness. After some time, Jessica finally brought good news. Ava, Ethan signed, finally done. We've scheduled to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau next Wednesday to complete the formalities. On your side, do you need me to handle it for you? No, I'll go back myself, I replied. Some things must be settled in person. Great. Jessica's tone was much lighter. By the way, Ava, I have some good news to tell you. I'm getting married. The wedding is next month. You must come and be my bridesmaid. Really? Congratulations. I was sincerely happy for her. Bridesmaid? I'll definitely be there. I had a video call with Jessica in the evening to choose bridesmaid dress styles. While chatting, she mentioned her fiancé, the neighbor she had mentioned before who had persistently pursued her for a long time. I really didn't expect it to be him in the end, Jessica said with a happy smile on her face. Sometimes fate is just so wonderful. After hanging up the video call, I stared blankly out the window. Neighbor. This reminded me of Noah. On Thanksgiving Day, the three of us were at home preparing dinner, while my mother was picking vegetables. She casually asked, Ava, what do you think of Noah? My heart skipped a beat, and I mumbled, it's pretty good. He's a very nice person. Mother put down the vegetables in her hand and looked at me seriously. Ava, Noah is a good boy. Actually, he has liked you for many years. Mother sighed and began to tell the story slowly. It turned out that Noah had liked me since he was a child, but at that time I was young and simple-minded, and never noticed. After they moved away, he had been silently following my news. Knowing that I was married, he was very sad, but he still blessed me. This time, when he heard that something had happened to me, and learned that my marriage was unhappy, he was determined to apply for the exchange program to Argenta, wanting to be by my side. He has done many things for you that you don't know, Ava. My mother's eyes were full of emotion. That year, on your 18th birthday, you secretly ran out to drink with your friends and almost got into trouble. Your parents called him, and he ran to find you without saying a word. Later, he even knelt down in front of your father to plead for you, promising to keep an eye on you in the future and not let you do stupid things again. 18 years old, kneeling down and begging for mercy, my heart felt like it had been hit hard by something. Those vague fragments that I had deliberately forgotten became clear in an instant. That night, I did drink too much, and in a daze, it seemed like a familiar figure carried me back. Later, my father was furious, and he was the one who kept persuading him. So that person was Noah. I always thought it was just a vague dream, but I didn't expect it to be real, and he actually went to such lengths for me. For so many years, he has been silently protecting me in a place I didn't know. Gratitude, guilt, and an indescribable emotion surged in my heart. I looked at Noah's back as he was seriously cutting fruit in the kitchen, and suddenly felt that the person in front of me might be worth opening my heart to and starting over with. The day of the divorce came quickly. I flew back to the original city in advance. At the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I saw Ethan. He had lost a lot of weight, looked haggard, and his eyes were bloodshot. Seeing me, he rushed forward and knelt down in front of me with a thump. "Ava, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Can you give me one more chance? Let's not get divorced. Let's start over." He grabbed my trouser leg and begged, tears streaming down his face. Some people around began to stop and watch, pointing and whispering. Looking at his humble appearance, my heart felt no emotion. This is probably what it feels like when sorrow is greater than a broken heart. "Ethan Harrison." I looked down at him, my tone calm. "It's too late. Sign it. This is the last thing you can do for me." I his hand and walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau without looking back. The procedures went smoothly, and the moment I received the divorce certificate, I felt that the boulder that had been weighing on my heart for many years had finally been removed. Stepping out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the sun was shining brightly. I took a deep breath and felt that the air had become fresher. My mother called and asked about my next plans. "Ava, whether you want to stay in Argenta or return to China to develop your career, Mom will support you." "Mom, I want to attend Jessica's wedding first before making a decision," I said. Jessica's wedding was set in a beautiful manner. The day before the wedding, I went to try on my bridesmaid dress, only to find that the zipper on the back of the dress was broken. Just as I was about to ask the staff for help, a cold voice sounded behind me. "Ava Harrison." "Oh no, I should call you Ava now." I turned around abruptly and saw someone unexpected, Chloe Miller. She looked a little haggard, but her eyes were full of madness and resentment. "What are you doing here?" I took a step back warily. "What are you doing?" Chloe laughed hysterically. "Ethan doesn't want me anymore. It's all because of you. You ruined everything for me. You won't have it easy either." Before she finished speaking, she suddenly pulled out a fruit knife from her bag and stabbed me with a ferocious look on her face. I was so scared that my mind went blank, and I couldn't dodge in time at all. In this critical moment, a figure suddenly rushed over, held me tightly in his arms, and kicked Chloe's wrist away at the same time. The fruit knife fell to the ground with a clang. "It's Noah." "Ava, are you okay?" Noah checked me anxiously, his voice trembling. At this moment, Jessica's fiancé, a tall and strong man, also rushed over upon hearing the commotion, quickly subdued the emotionally agitated Chloe, and called the police. I leaned against Noah in shock, feeling his strong heartbeat and warm body temperature. "Just a moment ago, I really thought I was going to die." Noah held me tightly, his arms trembling slightly. He looked down at me, his eyes filled with lingering fear and the joy of finding something lost. He was worried when he learned that I had returned to China to attend a wedding, so he took leave and ended his exchange program early, rushing back overnight, not expecting to witness such a thrilling scene. "Ava," he cupped my face, his voice hoarse and affectionate, "I can't lose you. From the first moment I saw you, my heart has only had you in it. I was a coward before, afraid to say it, only able to watch you silently, but now, I don't want to wait anymore. Ava, give me a chance to take care of you, protect you, okay?" Looking at his sincere and eager eyes, feeling the heavy affection in his words, and recalling the past events my mother had told me, my heart was completely filled. I nodded vigorously, tears falling. "Okay." Noah smiled in relief, holding me tightly in his arms. Jessica's wedding was held as scheduled. The sun was shining, and the lawn was lush green. I stood beside Jessica, wearing my repaired bridesmaid dress. Noah, as my family member, stayed by my side, never leaving. To my surprise, Ethan also came. He stood in an inconspicuous corner of the guest area, silently watching me with a complex expression. Noah noticed my gaze and subtly squeezed my hand, giving me a reassuring look. During the wedding vows, Jessica and her childhood neighbor, now the groom, shared their love story, from being bickering rivals to recognizing each other as the one, which was sincere and touching. Seeing their happiness and hearing the solemn declaration of the pastor, my heart was also filled with longing for the future. After the wedding ceremony, the guests moved to the banquet hall. Noah and I were about to go in when Ethan stopped us. "Ava," he looked at me, then at Noah, whose fingers were intertwined with mine, his eyes dimming. "Do you really want to be with him?" Before I could speak, Noah stepped forward, shielding me behind him, his tone steady but with an undeniable dominance. "Ethan Harrison, Ava is my girlfriend now, and she will be my wife in the future. I will protect her happiness. We won't be like you, discarding precious things carelessly." Ethan was rendered speechless by Noah's retort, his face pale. He opened his mouth as if wanting to say something, but in the end, He just lowered his head dejectedly and turned to leave forlornly. Looking at Ethan's retreating figure, I felt not a ripple in my heart. The past was all smoke and mirrors. Noah turned around, looked at me gently, and gently wiped away the tears that had from the corners of my eyes. Don't waste tears on people who aren't worth it. I looked at him, turned my tears into a smile, and to give him a light kiss on the lips. I know, he taken aback, then hugged me tightly, smiling brightly. Let's go, my girl, our new life has just begun. In the sunlight, we smiled at each other, our eyes only for each other. I know that this time, I made the right choice. Having experienced, I know better how to cherish the rainbow before me, and Noah is the most one in my life. I was stunned.